Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hello, Isa, can you hear me? Hello, Isa?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear
Yes,
you. I can hear you. Yeah, good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Good to have you online today. Hello?
Thank you, sir.
All right, yes. Have you gone through the Google Classroom to check the materials that were posted there?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, not yet. All right. So
Yes, sir.
We'll drop link to the Google Classroom.
okay, we'll drop link. Okay. All right, so I will drop link to the Google Classroom after now. Okay? Okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. Yes.
Yes,
So,
sir.
all right. So my name is Mr.
Yes, sir. Can you hear you, sir?
My name is Mr. Basi Aniti. Okay? And we will be doing a bit of revision together.
Okay, sir.
All right. Can you see the slide? Can you see my slide on your screen there?
Yes, sir.
Can you see my slide? Can you see my slide?
No, sir.
Okay, what's appearing on your screen there? May I know what's appearing on your
Okay,
screen?
I can see it.
Okay, what's appearing on your screen there? Hello? Sorry, can you hear me?
I can see your slide.
Okay, I can see.
So what I'm saying is present a slideshow that I was talking about.
Okay.
No, right, so you can just next up and down.
Okay.
Well, I can see your slide.
All right then. Hello, Timothy. Can you hear me? Hello, Timothy. Hello, Timothy. Timothy. Okay. He has to be unmuted. Unmuted. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, yes. Can I start? Yes, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Philomena, Timothy, and everyone that will be joining us for the class. So good to have you, and so good to have you join us today. Just like I said earlier, my name is Basi, and I will drop the link to the Google Classroom so that you can do well to visit and ask any question, access the materials, and drop any question whatsoever, or wherever, or any area of concentration you would like us to focus on. Any area of concentration you would like us to focus on, I will really be so glad to have that posted on the Google Classroom, because I understand that we have a short time before the exam, right? Right? Can you hear me? Hello, Philomena, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Timothy, could you unmute your mic, Timothy?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I can hear that. I get that. I got that. Timothy, could you unmute your mic? Please unmute your mic, Timothy. Timothy, unmute your mic, please. Okay, so let's proceed. Let's proceed. So I believe that this is not the first time. All right, Timothy. Hello, Timothy. Okay, so I believe this is not the first time you'll be discussing government or you'll be hearing about government, right? You have heard about government for close to 3 years. Am I right? Am I right? Philomena, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes. I believe it's not your first time of being introduced into
I can hear you,
government.
sir.
Okay, all right, good, good. So I believe you must have heard about government. You must have you have attended classes on government, and you've heard so much, right? And we won't be able to our time together during this period won't be able to cover all the various topics, but we will do well to just to touch the key points, key areas, that we believe students really need to take note of. And also, you too, you are free to drop areas of concentration you would like us to revise. Because I believe in the course of your studies and your practice, you must have come across some difficult areas, some seemingly difficult areas that you will need more clarifications on. Do well to let me know about it. Do well to let me know about it, areas you want us to concentrate on and to really expound more on. And also, what we'll also be doing in this class is we'll be attempting some past questions too together. We'll be attempting some past questions together. I hope you have been attempting some practice questions on your own. I hope you have been attempting some practice questions on your own, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's very good. That's very good. So, how have you seen it so far? How has your performance been so far? You want to tell us? You want to talk about it? How has your performance been so far in your practice questions, your practice exercises? Philomena, can you hear me? Hello, Philomena? Timothy, I believe you can hear me. Could you unmute your mic if your background is not noisy so that we can interact? Timothy, if your background is not noisy, you can unmute so we can interact a little. All right, Philomena. Hello, Philomena.
Sir.
Yeah, how has your
Yes,
experience,
sir.
how has your performance been so far in your practice exercises, in government so far? How has it been?
The performance in this government, I won't lie, so it's not that too good though.
Okay, okay. All right. Is this your first time of writing
It's
Jamb?
not that easy. It's not that good at all.
It's not that good. Okay, okay. What? Which of the practice? Which one do you use? Which of the materials do you use? Hello?
I like about the first section.
Okay, past questions. Okay, okay. That's good. That's good one. That's a good one.
Yes,
That's
sir.
a good one. That's a good one. All right. Do you know of TestDrillers?
Okay, sir.
Do you know of TestDrillers? Have you heard of
No, sir.
TestDrillers? Okay. All right. Just go to Play Store. While you are on now on your device, go to Play Store. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. Then click on TestDrillers
Yes, sir.
on your Play Store, right?
Okay, sir.
Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you do well to download the application into your device after the class.
Oh. Okay, sir.
You do well to download it, and when you're done downloading, set up with it. Set up with it. It's not my application, okay? Neither is it for us as a platform. It's just one of the materials I came across, and I saw that it's quite very, 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 very useful. The way the questions are, you could time yourself, answer the questions, then after the timing, when the time elapses, it will tell you, it will come up with your result, what you got, and it will also tell you the various, all the various, the various topics that were covered. You understand? The various topics.
Yes, sir.
The various topics that were covered in the whole practice question that you attempted, and the more you attempt the practice question, the more it becomes easy. It becomes easy for you, and it makes you more acquainted with the terms, with the terminologies, and with all the things you need to know about government. Because seriously, we will not be able to cover the whole syllabus, but I believe with more practice questions, with more and more practice questions, after a few revisions, get into more practice questions, and on your own, you just log on to your TestDrillers platform, set up, time yourself, answer the question. After the question, you will see the result. It will show you the result. It will show you the answer, and it will also tell you why those answers were the correct ones. And it will also give you in-depth explanation. So if you're able to if you're able to answer, if you're able to do attempt by go about 3 or 4 times a day at your own convenience, it will really go a long way to boost your preparation for the forthcoming exam. Okay? Okay?
All right, sir.
All right. That also applies to
Yes,
Timothy
sir.
too. Timothy, that also applies to you too.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, yeah. Timothy, that also applies to you too. Timothy, that also applies to you in case you don't have any particular material to work on or to work with, to prepare with. You can try TestDrillers. Just go to your Google Play Store, download the TestDrillers, set up with it. Although there's a charge anyway, because for you to be able to access the whole package there, you have to get a PIN. You'll have to get a PIN, and the PIN is just 2,000 naira. It's not for me. It's not coming to me. It's not coming to any one of us. It's just a material that was produced by TestDrillers, which if you wish to use, you can just like you buying past questions to practice with. Do you understand? So, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Timothy, I can see you. Good to have you online. Okay.
Yes, I understand, sir.
Okay, all right then. All right. So let's proceed without taking much time. In our previous class, we talked about government, government as an institution, government as a process, and government as an academic field. Government as an institution, government as a process, and government as an academic field. And in our previous class, while we were talking about the meaning of government, we said that government as an institution may be defined as a machinery. Okay? A machinery. I'm just doing a recap, okay, Philomena. I'm just doing a recap on what we did last time. The materials are there on the classroom. All right. So, as an institution, government as an institution. Okay. All right. Government as an institution talks about the machinery. Sees government as a machinery. Okay, as a machinery of the state. Government as an institution Since see, could you mute your mic? Could you mute your mic so that after I will let you know when to unmute, so as to avoid the interferences. Could you do that now? All right. Philomena, could you mute your mic so that I will let you know when to come in, when to come up, when to unmute, so as to avoid interferences.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, as I was saying, as a government as an institution of the state may be defined as a machinery established by the state. A machinery as an institution, it is a machinery, okay, established by the state to organize, manage the affairs of the state. As an institution, it is a machinery. It is a machinery that is used to manage the affairs of the state, used to organize the state, used to administer the functions and the duties of government. I hope you got that. Government as an institution, okay, as an institution of the state, may be defined as a machinery that is set up by the state to do what? To organize the state. Where there is no organization, what we are bound to have is chaos, right? So government as an institution of the state may be defined as a machinery. That machinery that government uses to do what? To organize the state, to manage its affairs, and to administer its functions. Government as a whole has its functions as its function. The state as a whole, rather, the state as a whole has its functions to the citizens, right? And for those functions to be properly administered to the citizens, there has to be a machinery in place to enable that. Okay? And that is why when we see government as an institution, we see it as a machinery of the state that is used to do what? To organize the state, to manage the affairs of the state, and to administer the functions of the state to its what? Citizens. Administer the functions of the state to the citizens. Okay? And the need for a machinery came up because when people gather, when there is a gathering of people, especially people of diverse background, people of diverse ideologies, people of diverse orientation, when they gather like that, there is bound to be what? There is bound to be disagreements, either intentionally or unintentionally. Okay? So in such a situation, what happens is what? There has to be a machinery that is put in place to ensure that there is unity in diversity. One, there is unity in diversity. Number two, so that there will be no trampling on individual rights. Individual rights. There will be no trampling upon individual rights. You respect your differences and still go on to pursue the common good of the state as a whole. So that is what government as an institution helps to do. Okay? And we said that government as an institution of the state has three organs or structures, with each of them having various functions. Okay? Government as an institution has a structure, okay? Has a structure or has organs with different functions, well outlined, okay, well outlined, so as to avoid interference, and so as to ensure that each organ carries out its function independent of the other, without being under the control of the other. And what are these structures? In our last class, we mentioned that they include the executive arm, the legislature, and the judiciary. Okay, and all of them have different functions they carry out to ensure the smooth running of the state, so as to avoid chaos, so as to avoid, okay, there's this common saying that where there is no law, bound to be chaos, right? Where there's no law, anarchy is bound to happen, especially when we have divergent views, divergent perspectives, divergent goals. Where there is no rule, where there are no clear-cut policies, there is bound to be anarchy. Everybody, all man to himself, trying to protect and trying to protect their goals and their interests. So what are the functions of each of these arms? The executive arm is concerned with policy making and implementation. The executive arm is concerned with policy making as well as what? Implementation of policies. They make policies, they implement it. The other part, the other function, the other arm of government is the legislature. The legislature is equally also involved in law making. Of course, the legislature is basically the law making arm of the government. Okay, although it is not restricted to it alone. The executive also makes laws through executive orders. You must have heard of executive orders at one point in time or the other. So all of those are laws that the executive arm of government does. Okay, then we also have the judiciary. The judiciary is basically saddled with the responsibility of interpreting laws. When policies are made, when laws are made, okay, there is need for accurate interpretation of these laws, so that there will be no misunderstanding. Yes, let's say misunderstanding. Yes, misunderstanding of the purpose and the intention of these laws that were made. Okay, so the judiciary is saddled with the responsibility of interpreting laws to ensure that there is accurate understanding of the nitty-gritties, the rules, the rights, and the obligations. The rights, the obligations, and the guiding rules of the state. And it is often said that ignorance is not an excuse before the law, right? Ignorance is never an excuse before the law. So the judiciary helps to give us accurate interpretation of what laws, of what our rights as citizens are, of what the obligations of what our obligations to the state are. Okay. Then we now move to
Hello, Issa. Sorry, Mr. Bassi. Sorry, Issa. Please, can you mute? It's making noise. Thank you. You can continue, Mr. Bassi.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we also talked about government as a process or act of governing. As a process or an act of governing. And what did we say it is? It is referred to as an act of governing because it is a body that is vested with supreme power of the affairs of the state. A body that is vested with the supreme power of the affairs of the state. Okay? So for there to be accurate governance, proper governance of the state, the machinery that has been set up, the structures that have been set up, has to be properly vested with supreme power to carry out the affairs of the state, to administer their duties, to the state. Okay? And government is vested with the power of maintaining peace and security. All right? So government as an act or as a process or an act of governing is what? Is vested with the power of maintaining peace, security, and putting in place machinery for that purpose. Okay? All right. And then we also talked about, under that we see that government makes laws. Okay? Government makes laws, and mind you, what we are just doing is basically a recap of what we did last time. I'm going to send the link to the materials on the Google platform. All right. Okay. And we also talked about the attributes of government. And under the attributes, we talked about law. Just like we said, when we have a gathering of people, there has to be a clear-cut rules and regulation that guides the activities and the interpersonal relationship of these people. Where there is no clear-cut rules and regulation, do's and don'ts, there is bound to be anarchy. In each person fighting for their individual cause. So what do we do? What does government help us do? Government helps us to set up rules and regulations. And these rules and regulations are referred to as what? Laws. So laws are one of the attributes of government. And another one is political power. And what is political power? The political power which government has is in consonance with the people's will. Yes. Political power, it doesn't just come, political power is given by the people. Do you understand? Political power is given by the people to either the institution that is set up, the body that is set up, or the machinery that is put in place. The people submit their will to the machinery or to the organization or to the institution or machinery that is set up to organize the state, to administer the functions of the state to the citizens and the rest. So political power it starts and rests on the will of the people. The political power of a state or in government starts and rests with the will of the people. And we have people's legitimate support. And with that comes what? People's legitimate support. Then we also have welfare services. We know government is saddled with the responsibility of providing key welfare services to its citizens, right? So welfare services is one of the key attributes of government. Then we also have periodic change. There is always what we have. We always have periodic change, and periodic change means that no government, no machinery set up is permanent. No government, no machinery set up is permanent. No structure is permanent. It keeps changing. Although the state remains, the state is permanent, but the machinery is not permanent. That is why we have periodic changes. Like in Nigeria, for instance, after every 4 years, we always have a change of government, right? And I believe that most of us here are gearing up for 2023. Because I know that at one point in time, we've been complaining about the Buhari-led government, right? Am I right? Okay. So because we have had complaints We have had complaints. We have felt the impact of this government one way or the other, and that has made us that has triggered some level of reaction in us, either to make us vote for the continuation of the government, or whoever the party projects, or we vote for an outright change entirely. That means that the power to change who is in power rests with us as individuals who are the citizens of the state. So when we say that the political power eventually rests on the citizens, I believe you understand it right now. In 2023, come 2023, all of us here, we have to exercise our rights, exercise our power and our right to decide who rules us. That means, in essence, we are exercising the power that we have. But it's rather unfortunate that here in Nigeria or in this part of the world, we hardly exercise our powers. We hardly exercise our powers. You understand? And I believe that we all remember what happened October 20th October 2020. The youths were trying to stand up to exercise their power against the government, right? And we all knew what happened, right? It was not right. It was very, very bloody, and it took the international community had to come in to intervene. But even at that, there was little they could do. There was little they could do because Nigeria is a sovereign state, and Nigeria being a sovereign state means that it has the right over its jurisdiction. Okay, it has the right over its jurisdiction. It has the right to dictate what happens within its jurisdiction. All right. So we also talked about the functions of government, and among the functions of government include the defense of the country, protection of lives and property, provision of employment, formulation and implementation of policies, and of course that one is rested on the executive arm, right? And also promotion of economic activities, administration of justice, and the defense of the country. I mentioned that. Then protection of lives and property. You know, when we submit our will to the machinery of the state, it is incumbent on the machinery to do what? To ensure that our lives are protected, our properties are protected. You understand? But the reverse is quite the case here in Nigeria, and I believe that every one of us here must exercise our duties, our rights, right? We must all exercise our rights and our power, exercise our political power, the political powers we have. And where's our political powers? In our PVCs. Our PVCs. All right. Okay. So, and we also talked about the importance of, what are the importance of studying government? What are the importance of studying government? And we said it makes us understand the various types of system that we have. The study of government enables us to understand the various types of systems in operations, governmental systems that societies adopt to administer, to govern, and to administer their functions to the state, and okay, I hope you can hear me. All right. Okay. All right. So the study of government helps us to understand the various types of systems in operation in various countries. And the understanding of the various types of systems in operation in various countries or in various societies, either advanced or third world, enables us to know, to put side by side and see, to compare and contrast in order to decide which is best for us. which is the best system of governance for us. Okay, the study of government enables us to do that. Then the next one is it widens our knowledge. It widens our knowledge. Our knowledge. The study of government helps us to widen the knowledge of our knowledge about administration and other institutions that are involved in governance. Political education, study of government educates people of the country on the political life or affairs of the country. I believe after studying government, after appreciating government as a whole, as a study, what does it do? It helps us to become political aware. It helps us to be political aware, and being political aware means that we are able to exercise the powers we have as a part of an organized society. Because in every organized society, there are powers, there are rights, there are obligations. Okay, there are rights and there are obligations. In every organized society, there are rights as well as obligations. So the study of government enables us to become acquainted with all those rights and obligations. Then opportunity for leadership, yes. Study of government enables us to become leadership conscious. I know that we have been told that we are the leaders of tomorrow, and you are still wondering that when are we going to start leading the country? Okay, 2023 is coming, and the kind of people that are already bracing up for that, you'll be surprised. Are the youth still the leaders of tomorrow? Okay, all right. So of course we are the leaders, and the study of government, and it makes us to be much more leadership conscious, because it makes you see the problems, the recurrent problems in the societies that need to be addressed. Okay, and when you cite all of this, it gives you an idea of how to go about solving them. And if you have the means and the ability to canvass for the highest level of governance or highest level of leadership, why not? Insofar as you'll be able to effect the changes that you so desire. Then we have conflict resolution. The study of government helps us to resolve conflicts. All right, just like I said earlier before the class began, I mentioned that our class here will only be doing a quick revision. We are only doing a revision. We won't be able to cover up everything, okay? Meanwhile, if you have any particular area of interest you would like us to cover, do well to drop them, okay? And we'll do justice to that. And I also mentioned that in case you don't have a material to work with, because I really encourage you to intensify your practice questions. You understand? Practice question, because you have been exposed to government for close to 3 years or more, right? So what you need to do now is revision. And for your revision to be effective, you need to add practice questions to it. Practice questions, and okay, and I will recommend you use TestDrillers in case you don't have anyone already. In case you don't have anyone, I will recommend TestDrillers for you. Just all you need to do is just go to Play Store, download it, set it up on your device. And once you set it up on your device, you can start practicing. And the more you practice, the more you become very, very much ready for the exams, and not just for the exams, and also it gives you good understanding, a better understanding, an enhanced understanding of what government as a subject is about. Okay, it goes beyond you just passing your exams. It also goes into you understanding what government is all about. So I would really recommend, in case you don't have any material at all, you can just install this into your devices and practice as often as often as you really can. Okay, it will go a long way. All right. Okay, so we proceed, and we talked about okay, just a minute. Okay, in our last class, we also talked about Okay, yes, the slide here. What I'm basically doing is just a recap of our last class. A recap of our last class. This is not the only slide we have. This is just a recap of our last class, because now this is just a recap. Just in a couple of minutes, I will get into what we have here. Okay, I understand this is not the only slide we have. We have other slides. Okay, I have other slides which I'm going to let you have access to.
Okay, sir.
All right. So we proceed, and we talked about political obligations. Yes. We talked about, okay, yes. We also talked about state and nation. State and nation. What is state? What is state? A state may be defined as a politically organized body of people inhabiting a defined geographical entity with an organized, legitimate government. So a state is more or less well-organized system, a well-organized body of people occupying a well-defined geographical location. Okay? A well-defined geographical location. That is what a state is. A politically organized body of people inhabiting or occupying a well-defined geographical location. All right. And we also talked about the features of a state. We mentioned that a state is permanent. All right. And a state has a government. And what is government? Government is the machinery through which the state administers its purposes, its functions, and administer its duties to the citizens. Machinery. So those are the features of a state. A state is permanent. A state has a government. A state has sovereignty. Sovereignty. Sovereignty is a term that we really need to we'll talk more about that too. But what does it mean? It means the supreme power to make decisions and enforce them. The supreme power to make decisions and enforce them. It's not enough for you to make decisions, you have to also be able to enforce them on the people. On the people. All right. And we also talked about population. Population, of course, a state is made up of people, and the people make up the what? The population. Then we also talked about recognition. A state is recognized both internally and externally. And we also talked about it having a well-defined territory, a well-defined territory. All right, then we talked about, we talked about political obligation, political obligation, okay? And under political obligation, there are several theories. There are several theories that induces or that enables or that facilitates. All right, I'm just playing with words here. There are several theories, okay? There are several theories as it relates to political obligation. One of them is the theory of coercion. The theory of coercion. What is obligation? Obligation is that sense, that compelling sense of being subject to some defined rules or regulations. Okay, you have that compelling. It's compelling on you. You know that. You perceive it. Okay, you know it. You have that sense, that compelling sense of. I don't want to use the word obligation. I don't use the word obligation. You have that compelling sense of duty. Yeah, let me use the word duty. That compelling sense of duty to be bound by the rules and regulations. That compelling sense of duty to be bound by the rules and regulation that regulates wherever you find yourself, okay? And there are several theories that necessitate obligation. There are several theories that necessitate obligation. One is the theory of coercion. Okay? And coercion is the assumption that people obey government because they recognize their incapacity in relation to government. That means that you are forced to obey government because you believe that no matter what you do, you can never fight against the government and win. It's something that is very much common in this part of the world. That even when the government infringes on your rights through its machineries, set up machineries and all of that, you just still find yourself incapable of taking it up against the government. And where is the government? The government has the financing and nothing you will do. And I believe that was what really necessitated the NSAS movement then. Okay, the NSAS movement was necessitated by the citizens trying to rise up against the ill treatment by some of the machineries of the state. Okay, but eventually they had no choice but to what? Obey, because the theory of coercion played out there. The theory of coercion, the theory of force played out there, because an individual or group of individuals cannot stand up against the government and win, if I may use that word, especially in this part of the world. Let me use that word, in this part of the world. Okay. All right. And we also talked about the social theory, the social contract theory. And according to this theory, there is a relationship between the ruler and the ruled. There is a relationship between the ruler. Timothy, could you mute your mic, please? There's an interference here. Thank you. Okay, so the social contract theory. Timothy, could you mute your mic, please? Timothy, please. Okay, thank you. All right. So the social contract theory, it states that the political obligation derives from relationship between rulers and the ruled. What does it mean? When it comes to the social contract theory, we believe that there are two sets of people, the ruled and the rulers, right? And each part of the party understand that they have rules, they have obligations, right? They have obligations because of the contract they have gotten into. Okay, so it is just that sense. It's just that sense of social contract that enables obligation to be actualized. Then the next one we have the theory of common good. That means I obey because I know that it is to the good, it is to my entire good. That means if, for instance, the government puts a time frame that within so time and so time there should be no movement, you as a citizen or as the ruled will understand that if you move after the stipulated time, you know that you are exposing yourself to some hazards, right? Hazards. So the theory of obligation there will inform you that it is to your good. You have to obey that rule because you understand that it is in your own best interest. All right. Okay. That we'll talk more on that over time. Let us go straight to what we have today. All right. What we have today, like someone mentioned that is this what we only have? Do we only have only one slide here? No. Okay. So what I just did is just to do a quick recap on some of the things that we talked about earlier. And don't forget, please do well to access practice materials on your own. Just like I said, TestDrillers, I recommend TestDrillers in case you don't have any. The more practice questions you get involved in, the more it helps. And it helps your understanding of the subject and also helps in your preparation. Okay? Don't forget that. All right, so we are going to talk about some basic concepts of government. Some basic concepts of government. And first on the list is what? Authority. First on the list is authority. And we say, and what we have, the authority is formal or legal right to make and enforce laws or policies which the citizens must obey. All right? Authority is a legal right. That means that, of course, people make laws, but does it have legitimacy? Does it have power? Is it backed by the law? Does it have any legal backing? It is the legality of those laws that makes it what? An authority. Do you understand? So authority is the formal or legal right to make and enforce laws or policies which the citizens must obey. It is mandatory for it to be obeyed. And it connotes the acceptance of the right to rule. It connotes the acceptance, right? The acceptance. Who is given the right? Who is giving it? The citizens. The citizens are given the right to who? To the machineries of the state. So don't forget that. It connotes the acceptance. Who is accepting there? The person accepting here is who? The machinery of the state. That's the government in this case. All right? So it connotes the acceptance of the right to rule as conferred by the people. As conferred by the people. In a democratic setting, the source of power and authority resides with the people. Just like I mentioned earlier, we are the people, we the people have the power to decide who rules us. Okay? We as the people have the right and have the power to decide who we submit to. The machineries that we submit, that we choose to submit to. We have that right. Even though we have not been so much educated to exercise our rights that much, not only that we have not been so much educated, not that we have not been so much educated, right? We've been educated quite all right, okay? But just that there are still some levels of restraint in the educations we have, okay? All right. So what are the kinds of authority we have? We have institutional authority. Institutional authority, okay? Institutional authority is a group of individuals who legitimately occupies public office with the capacity to determine public goals and policies and direct the execution of such goals and policies, okay? A group of people who occupy a public office, or a group of people who occupy public offices, okay? Remember, public office, okay? And remember the word legitimately. Legitimacy, there's need for legitimacy there. All right, who legitimately occupy public offices with the capacity to determine public goals and policies, okay? And they direct the execution of those goals and policies, okay, to the good, to the smooth running of the state. And what are these examples? We have examples include what? The class, the school principal, okay, authority of head of state and government, native authority, and judicial authorities. All of these persons are people with institutional authority. They have legitimate power to do what? To determine public goals and policies. And not just that, to direct the execution, the implementation. Yes, the execution there means the implementation of such policies and of such goals. Then we have the next one is functional authority. This is the power which accrues to a group of people as a result of the position they hold in an organization. That means it's a power that accrues to you basically because of the position you hold, okay? It is a legitimate right to direct both human and other resources. Just like, for instance, you are a supervisor. If you are made a supervisor, in an organization, what does that mean? You have some levels of authority, right? You have some levels of authority. You exercise some levels of authority, okay? And duties can be delegated to you. Duties can be delegated to you, and you act on behalf of a superior power, okay? All right, so let's proceed. Okay, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, is the screen still visible, please? I hope the screen is still visible, right? Okay. Okay. Please, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So we have sources of political authority. We have authority and we have sources of political authority. What are the sources of political authority? We have number one is what? Traditional authority. Traditional authority. Of course, this reminds us of our what? Traditional rulers. The Obis in Igbo land, the Obas, the Emirs, and the... Sorry, I think there was a little mistake somewhere there. Okay. Okay, yeah, sorry, this is supposed to be the Olus. Sorry, I made the mistake there. So we have the Emirs, the Obas, the Obis, the Obas, the Emirs, the Olus, and the Oviers. Okay, all of these are different traditional rulers from different regions of the country. Okay, and they derive their powers from the customs and traditions, from their customs and their traditions, which are mostly hereditary. Okay, they are mostly hereditary. So what are the sources of political authority? Number one is traditional authority. And traditional authority is what? Hereditary. It is hereditary in nature, and it is derived from the customs and the traditions of the people. That's the key word you need to understand there. You need to understand that traditional authority are mostly what? Hereditary, number one, and they are derived from the customs and traditions of the people. Okay? All right. So the next one is legal authority. Legal authority. This authority is mostly derived from where? The constitution of a given country. The constitution of a given country. So what does that mean? Authority is derived from where? The constitution in under legal authority. While under traditional authority, authority is derived from where? And traditions of the people. And it is what? Hereditary. All right. So we move to the next one, charismatic. Okay. Under the legal authority, this authority is mostly derived from the constitution of a given country. For example, the president elected by the people as a legal authority, as a legal authority. Sorry, there was a little typographical error here. As a legal authority, okay? Then the next one is charismatic authority. Charismatic authority. This is derived from the special and unique qualities an individual possesses. So who comes to mind in Nigeria? Can you think of anyone with any special or unique qualities that you think has the admiration of the people? Has the admiration of the people. Okay.
I will. I will say
What's
good luck, Jonathan.
okay? Yes, very, very good. That's a very good one. I love that. I love that. Let me get. Could you? Okay, I'm actually not seeing your face. That should be. Who spoke that? Who said that?
Gabriel.
Okay, Gabriel. All right, very, very good. Thank you very much for that. Good luck, Jonathan. Yes, that's a very good. He has, especially, he gained the admiration of the people when he was when during the election that removed him from office, right? And based on the findings and all of that, okay, although there are no based on the findings and the common and the rumors that were flying around then, it was obvious that the government was right. It was rigged out of his hands. Yet, and he had all the power to annul the election. Okay, he had all the power, but having considered the consequences and all of that, he decided to step down, and that singular effort made him to gain the admiration of the people, both internally and externally. He even gained some serious international recognition. Okay, gained some serious international recognitions after that, which to a great extent, so to the extent that people want him to come back to rule Nigeria again. Why? Because they saw his art. Okay, they saw his art and they saw that he exhibited a great quality that showed that he had, and he has the interest of the country at heart. Okay, and as an example we have here is Nelson Mandela. Okay, and Nelson Mandela, of course, he fought for the freedom of his people during the apartheid regime, and of course he had to pay for that. He served some times in prison, and all of those made him to increase in popularity and in his endearment to the people. All right. So all of those things are also sources of authority. Then the next one is consent of the people. This is when people decide to invest a certain person with authority. Okay. And of course, this is a flow from what? Charismatic authority. When people can see your special and unique qualities, the next thing is that they will want to invest you with some level of authority. Okay? They will want to invest some level of authority on you to rule and guide the affairs of the state. All right, proceed. We have sources of political authority. Number one is traditional authority. Number two is legal authority. Number three is charismatic authority. Number four is consent of the people. So we proceed. So what are the types? What are the types of authority? Almost still the same with the sources, okay? We talked about the traditional authority. This is authority exercised based on customs and tradition of the people, okay? And the next one is charismatic authority, okay? Just like I explained earlier, it is when it is derived from the belief in the exceptional ability of a leader, which inspires allegiance among the followers. Exceptional ability. When people can see that exceptional ability, the next thing is what? It inspires what? Allegiance. Okay? All right. It makes them to be willing to follow. All right. So we have, the next one is legal / rational authority. This is gotten from the Constitution. Legal, of course, just like I mentioned earlier, it is gotten from the Constitution of a modern democratic state. And it is exercised through the three organs of government. And what are the three organs of government? We have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary.
Judicial.
Yes, very, very good. Yes, thank you very much. Then we also talk about delegated authority. Various types of authority now. We have delegated authority. Okay, this is mostly given to someone to exercise functions and responsibility on specific areas. Just like, for instance, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is supposed to go to UK or go to the United Nations security meeting, for instance, but due to some engagement he has, okay, what does he do? He delegates that function to his vice. When his vice gets to that function, the vice is going to function as if he were the leader, the president of Nigeria. You understand? That is what we mean delegated authority. It will function as though he was the president, and he will be given the full recognition as such. All right? Even though it is understood that he is what? Acting on a delegated authority. All right? On a delegated function. So we have the next one is what? Technical authority. Technical authority. This is based on the level of expertise and an individual has. Please, sorry about, there's a mistake here. Technical authority is based on the level of expertise an individual has. The level of expertise an individual has or has acquired on the job. Okay? Your level of expertise, your level of knowledge determines a whole lot. For instance, Vitalik Buterin is a technical authority, isn't it? A technical authority when it comes to what? Who knows that? Vitalik Buterin. Vitalik Buterin.
Come again, sir.
I said, for instance, Vitalik Buterin is an authority when it comes to what?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you must have heard of the Ethereum blockchain technology, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when it comes to Ethereum network and all of that, the key person you mentioned is what? Is who? Vitalik Buterin. He has a technical authority, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. By virtue of the fact that he has a strong expertise, okay? He has acquired significant knowledge as it relates to the operations, the operations of the Ethereum network, okay? Just because he has acquired that knowledge, or just because he developed it and it is so unique that everybody depends on it for whatever they need to do. Okay? Just because of that, we can say that he has what? Technical authority. Why? Because of his expertise. Yes,
sir. Another
So,
example is the owner of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, Mark Zuckerberg, exactly. That's a very good one. And of course, you know that there's something that is brewing presently, metaverse, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, metaverse. So everything now, the whole world is moving towards metaverse now, just because Mark Zuckerberg came up and announced that their organization is being changed, right?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So in a way, he is an authority too. And also even the owner of Twitter too is also an authority because he has a tremendous influence on his fares and on his product, on his expertise. Okay. All right, so let's go on. So we have political authority. political authority, and this is the authority conferred on persons holding political offices. They are authorities that are conferred on persons that are holding political offices. A typical example is who? The President of Nigeria.
The legislator.
The legislators, exactly. And exactly, yes, exactly. All right. So we have positional authority, and this is determined solely by the position an individual occupies. Sorry about the error. There's an error here. An individual by the position an individual occupies at time. Okay. By the position an individual occupies at time. Then we have coercive authority. Okay. This authority is based on the use of force. A typical example is what? In a military dictatorship. And of course, in Nigeria, I know that there are some set of people we don't play with, right? There are some sets of people we don't play with, even though when you are around them, you exercise tremendous caution, isn't it? Even though they are not in power, exactly. Okay.
Sir.
The soldiers, right? The military personnel.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
So, although that's not supposed to be the case anyway, sir, that's not supposed to be the case, but that is what the Nigerian system has made it to be, to look. Okay? All right. Yes, so, sir. They exercise coercive authority. It is by force. Wow. You want to say something? Do you want to ask a question?
No, sir.
Okay, all right.
I'm just looking at the position they put them. Like, okay. Force. Is either you do it or you have no other option.
Exactly.
Or
But you know what?
To do it.
Exactly. You cannot. You have no right. You have to. You don't have any say at all. You are under obligation to do whatever you are commanded to do, whether it is convenient for you or not. Exactly. But that is not supposed to be the case. In a working system, that is not supposed to be the case. Sincerely, that's not supposed to be the case. That is why I believe some of us here are up to 18 and above, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right. I hope you all have your PVCs.
I've not done my own, but yet, because I always feel like my votes won't count no matter how. So I always feel like there's cheating and all of that. So that's why I don't even have passion for it and all of that.
Okay, but do you know that is the power? That's the only power you have as a citizen of this country. And you have to exercise it. If, for instance, now you are saying that you don't think your vote will count, and I also say that, well, I don't think my vote will count, and two other persons also say that, well, I don't think my vote will count. Just on and on, in every household, two people are saying, I don't think my vote will count. Well, by the time you count 1,000 households, 1,000 times 2, that's 2,000 votes. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So, exactly. So it doesn't quite matter. Although the systems at times could be quite discouraging, but that shouldn't stop us from exercising our rights and using our power to decide who we want in authority. Okay? So just little by little, by the time you bring your own small votes, little votes, I bring my own one vote, another person brings his own one vote. I believe you have your vote, you have your siblings, your mom exercises his vote, your dad, your uncles, and your siblings.
It's not always like that in this country. Like there were many polling units during the last election. Like you go to a particular unit to vote, you place and vote. By the end of the day, they will change everything and give it to a particular party there because maybe they're giving them money or something. So missing all those things, you know.
Okay.
So that's why I don't really put my mind there.
Okay. Very good, very good. You saw that, right? But what did you do about it?
So me, I have no power. Me, I have no power. I'm small. So there are police everywhere, and the police are the ones. You know how this country is. So once they just give them 100, 200,000, they'll just take the route to APC or whatever they want to put the route. You know, and you won't have a say. You can't, even though if you should report, the government is always strong and is always higher than everything. They will tell you that you can't fight the government. So
of course,
that's
yes,
politics.
Okay, yes, there's that notion that you can't fight the government. That's true, very, very true. Okay, but there are some things that the government may not really directly have immediate control over. And what is that? The social media. For instance, you cited such scenarios, and of course, you have to stylishly, by the time you cite such scenarios, what do? You stylishly bring out your device. Stylishly, I said. Please get the word stylishly. I'm not saying
life or death. Election.
So you have to stylishly bring out your devices. You understand? Bring out your devices, your camera devices, stylishly, please. Note the word stylishly. Don't go and bring it out and make everybody know. Okay. So because you doing that, of course, there are talks around that are willing, that are very much ready to
do anything.
Exactly.
Anything for 1,000, anything for 2,000.
Exactly. So with all of these things we are seeing, what does it do? It makes us look for possible ways of exercising our rights. You understand? So if, for instance, you cited such scenarios, what do? You stylishly bring out your devices, capture it, send it to the social media space, and share it as fast as you can. You may be thinking that your singular action may not count, but within a short period of time, it could just be trending all over the place. And what's going to happen? It could cause a tremendous change. You understand?
Yes, sir. I get it.
Exactly. So there are ways we can actually bring our government to be accountable for their actions and inactions. You understand? Yeah, there are ways we can really do. Okay, and as 2023 is coming, I really encourage us to understand that our votes count, and we have everything it takes to ensure that our votes count. The social media is there for us, and the willpower has to be there too. The willpower has to be there to ensure that we decide what is going to happen. When the willpower is there, definitely all the resources at our disposal can be well utilized for that. Understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, then. So let's continue. So we have what we call de jure and de facto authority. De jure and de facto authority. So what's the first one?
De facto.
De facto, yes. De facto.
Sorry, sir. This de jure and de facto. What's English language is it derived from or something? The de jure and de facto.
Okay.
Where is it derived from?
Okay, just a minute. Okay.
Like you don't understand. Like I said,
okay.
The word.
You mean the root word? You mean the root word, right? The root meaning you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Where is it derived from? And what's the meaning?
Okay, yeah. Okay, the meaning here, what we have as the meaning here is the right to issue instructions. The jure authority is the right to issue instructions and to have them obeyed. The right to issue instructions and to have them obeyed. Okay? Although there are times that we quite don't feel like obeying such instructions, but just for the fact that there are issues, there are instructions that have already been set up, what do? We are forced to to obey them. We are compelled to obey them. Okay, and it has its root meaning. It has its root meaning in Latin. Okay, it's a Latin word actually. It's actually a Latin word. Okay, and what it basically means is that the right to issue instructions and to have them obeyed, even when you don't quite feel like obeying them. Just like, for instance, the fact that you don't like somebody's face, or let's say, for instance, you are in an organization and your immediate superior there, or maybe your colleague of the same category, the same level, was delegated with a duty by your overall superior. Do you understand? Do you get that? Did you get that explanation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Take for instance,
yes, sir.
you work in an organization. Both of you and your friend, you and your colleague work in an organization. You are in the same level, the same category, but by virtue of maybe competence or by virtue of the fact that your overall boss desires to delegate some authority to him, you know that when that your colleague gives a particular instruction, what will you do? You have to obey that instruction, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Even though you don't feel like obeying it, but he has been given the right to issue instruction, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, by virtue of the delegated authority, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So that is what actually what this de jure authority has to do. It has to do with the right to issue instructions and to have them obeyed. And when that happens, it is regarded in legal parlance. Okay. Although there are some times that individual person can go beyond the authority that has been vested in him, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He may be so drunk with power and feel like, wow, I need to use this opportunity that I have right now, and he begins to go beyond the scope of the authority given to him. And when such happens, what happens? We have what we call ultra vires. What do I call it?
Sir, come again.
I said there are situations when an individual goes beyond the authority delegated to him or her. It goes beyond the scope of the authority delegated to him or her. When he does that, when he goes beyond the scope of the authority given to him or her, there are some times that somebody can be so drunk with power. Have you heard of the word drunk with power before?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So maybe by the time you have been given the authority and you don't like speak, that is when you remember that there are some of
you say, "Yay, yes, this one has been doing me something. See, this is the right time for me to."
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So when you go beyond the scope of the authority delegated to you, what has happened is that there is what we call ultra vires. You have just acted beyond your scope, the scope given to you, and that's what we call ultra vires. And what does that mean? It's a term in law that denotes that one has gone beyond the legal power or authority, beyond the legal power and authority, and he has to be brought to book. He has to be cautioned. You understand? All right. So the next one is de facto authority. De facto authority. And what does that mean? It's a situation where one person acknowledges another as being entitled to command him or her in, okay?
Yes, sir.
However, it is possible for one to recognize. Okay, sorry, I think there were some things I missed here. Let me get that. clearly. This is a situation where one person acknowledges another, okay? Another has been entitled to command in. However, it is possible for one to recognize that one, and yet refuse to comply. That means you recognize that somebody has some level of authority over you, but you just still have this reluctance to comply. Can you relate with that?
I can relate with that. There was
really?
a time, yes, sir. There was a time at my workplace. So my boss, because I was there before her, so she came and all of that. So I was under her when she came. So I'm supposed to, bow to her. I know that she's my boss, but yet I still do strong head. Anything she said, I'll tell her no, I'll not do it. And yet I know that I'm supposed to be under her. Yes, sir. I can relate to that.
All right, okay, yeah, that's a nice one. That's a nice one. So we now move to the differences between power and authority. What are you doing? Okay. Here we have that power is the capacity to command another person's behavior, others' behavior, right? By the use of threats or some forms of sanctions. You have the capacity to command another's behavior.
Okay.
And what do you use? What instruments do you use to command that behavior? Threat or sanction. Okay. While authority is actually a formal or legal right to make or enforce a law. The fact that you have power to command others doesn't mean that you have the legal right to do that, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. So authority gives you that formal and legal right to do that, while power is just you having that capacity. That capacity may just be because you know that you have an uncle that is a general in the army, right? Okay. Or or because you feel you have so much money in your bank account, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
all
sir.
right. You feel that you can command people, threaten them to do things and all of that. But that doesn't give you that legal or formal right to do that. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the next one is authority is based on acceptance and mostly legitimate. Authority is based on acceptance and mostly legitimate. Okay. Authority is based on acceptance and mostly legitimate. Acceptance in the sense that there are people who accept to obey, who accept to submit themselves to these laid down rules and regulations governing the location they are or they have found themselves, the system they found themselves in. While power, on the other hand, could be legitimate and it could also be illegitimate. Most times powers are illegitimate. Most times, although there are instances where they could be legitimate at times. Then we have authority can be delegated with legitimized responsibility. Okay, legitimate responsibility. Authority can be delegated, but power cannot be. Then we have, since authority is legitimized, the punishments that go with it are not as serious as that of power. Under authority, what do we have? We know we have rules and regulations. You know that if you don't obey certain rules, you already know the punishment that goes with that, the consequences of such, right? Those consequences in most times are not as severe as that of power. Okay? They are not really much as severe. For instance, you may be when you are threatened with your source of livelihood. Is there any particular consequence, formal consequence that makes you lose your job? In a legitimate way, let's take for instance you violated some rules and some laws. Does it automatically make you lose your job? You may only experience some immediate immediate punishment or so. For instance, let's say for instance now the government places a curfew that within also period of time, nobody is permitted to move out. When somebody is found moving out beyond the stipulated time, the punishment it stands to excuse me, the punishment it stands to observe there is to be temporarily detained by the machineries of government, right? It may lose its freedom temporarily, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to lose its entire freedom or its entire source of livelihood, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So,
Yes, sir.
So we now move to the term legitimacy. Legitimacy. What is legitimacy? It is a political concept which indicates the acceptance and recognition by the citizens of a country about the rights of their rulers to govern. It's a political concept that indicates acceptance. That means we as the citizens, we accept and recognize, okay, the rights of our rulers to govern us. That is what that term legitimacy means. Okay, a government is considered legitimate is to power through constitutional means. Through constitutional means. Okay. However, it is argued that the military government can acquire legitimacy through popular government policies. You know, when most military governments are considered as illegitimate because they do not reflect the minds and the intentions, the will of the people. But over time, due to their popular government policies, their government can now be given what? Legitimacy. Why? Because the people in the long run have come to realize that although this military government came in illegitimately, but over time we have seen that they so much have our interests at heart and they are pursuing the common good of the country. Right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so what are the factors that determine legitimacy? What are the factors that determines legitimacy? What are the factors that make us change our minds about a formerly illegitimate government? Number one is what? Good and reliable leadership. That is all what we need. That's all what we look out for. We look out for good and we look out for a good and reliable leadership. When we see that, we give them our mandate. Oh, go on. We will follow whatever you tell us to do. So the next one is legitimacy through periodic elections. Okay, through periodic elections, just like we know, 2023 is coming and it's another time of choosing leaders. And that is when we confer our mandate on whichever we so desire to represent us and to rule us. The next one is customs and traditions. That is very much found in the traditional setting. So it confers, is one of the factors that determines legitimacy. Then we have foreign policy objectives. Foreign policy objectives. Foreign policy objectives, okay. Then the next one is wider scope of political. I'm trying to rush over because of our time. Wider scope of political participation. When there's a wider scope of political participation, it engenders legitimacy. Okay, you know, in a military setting, your views are not heard, your views are not permitted. But when your views now become being heard, when your views, your opinions are now being heard, and you don't stand, you are not under any form of threat whatsoever, what does it do? It's a way it engenders, it gives legitimacy to the government. Then we have ideology. Ideology means your guiding principles. What are your guiding principles? What does your government, what principles, what philosophy is it operating on? Okay? What are your ideas? What are your philosophies? Okay? But I don't quite, can you really think of any ideology, can you think, can any of us think of any ideology of any of our past governments?
I can't really say of our government though, but I can say of the communism in China and the capitalism in USA.
Okay. So those are well-structured systems with clear-cut operational guidelines. You all know that China is known for communism, right? Exactly.
Yes, sir.
So exactly. So you all know, and the philosophies, their policies, everything is streamlined to move along that uh, that uh, that line, right? That line of reasoning, right? And when there's a deviation, it raises eyebrows. It raises eyebrows. Just like, for instance, you mentioned that capitalism in the US. But do you know that some persons believe that the Biden-led government is tilting towards communism or socialism, is tilting towards that. You believe that? Have you heard of such? They are just
Yes, sir.
narratives. They are just narratives anyway. They are narratives flying all over the place. We have increased taxation and all of that. Some persons feel that the Trump-led government gave much more room for private businesses to thrive. Okay, which of course goes in line with the ideology of the USA as a country, right? But some other persons believe that the Biden-led government is tilting towards communism. Tilting. It's just a narrative anyway. I don't have a clear cut. This is not an authority, okay? It's just a mere opinion, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we have charisma of the leaders. These are some of the factors that determine legitimacy. The charisma of the leaders, then popular support, then open door administration. When you have open door administration, when a government is open to criticism and open to different ideas that will help to push the affairs of the state forward without having to consider party affiliations. Of course, that government has a tendency to gain more legitimacy. All right, so we move on to sovereignty. Sorry, I'm just rushing over. So sorry. Perhaps
It's okay, sir. It's okay, sir.
Drop your areas, questions. You can just note your questions, note things, areas of concentration you'd like us to focus on, because there's no way we'll be able to cover everything in depth. All right. And I'll also still encourage you, don't forget to do more practice questions. Just like I said earlier, test drillers will be very, very handy for you. Test drillers will be very, very handy. It is well structured to help. So you can explore that. Go to your Play Store, download it, and see how best you can make use
Come
of
again,
it.
sir. You said what?
I said Test Drillers app. Test Drillers app
Okay.
can be very, very useful for you. I mentioned it
Sorry,
earlier.
sir. Spell the drillers.
Drillers, that's in DRILLERS.
DRILL
ERS. Test
ERS.
Drillers.
Okay, drillers.
Test Drillers. Just go to your Play Store. Click click on type TestDrillers, you have the options. You will see the option for UTME preparation. You see the option, in this case, UTME preparation, right? So you just select the UTME preparations. It has several very good materials for you to use. And
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It is well structured. So do well to, you can always work on the go. Okay, it's very, very good. I recommend that in case you don't have anyone you are working with presently, just do well to assess that. It should be very, very useful. All right, so the next is a sovereignty. Sovereignty is a supreme power and authority of the state over the citizens. The supreme power and authority of the state over the citizens. That word can be referred to as sovereignty. Okay? It is the power of the state to make laws and enforce them with all means of correction. Okay? It cares to okay. Okay, yeah. So it is the power of the state to make laws and to enforce them. To make laws and to enforce them. Just a minute, please. Okay, yeah. So it is the power of the state to care, to make laws, and to enforce such laws with all means of coercion. Sorry, I wrote correction there. There was a mistake here. Typographical error, please. With all means of coercion, it cares to employ. With all means of coercion. With all means of coercion. Coercion in this case means force. Force. Of course, without force, you will not obey, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So, so there has to be the state has to be given the power to use force. Because when there is no force, definitely people will be so, there will be this latency, there will be this carefree attitude, and of course it will lead to chaos and anarchy in the state. So sovereignty is a supreme power and authority of the state over the citizens. It is the power of the state to make laws. That's number one, to make laws, and to enforce them with all means of coercion. It cares to employ without any interference by other states. Just like you remember what happened there, October 20th, 2020, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
What did the government do? The government decided to use military power, isn't it?
Sir, yes, sir.
Decided to use military power on the citizens that were clamoring for
NSAS protest. Yes, sir.
Exactly, on the NSAS protest. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And it never hold any explanation. It never felt that as a government, it hold anyone any explanation, isn't it? Although the international community, the international community came in, they were coming in, they were clamoring all over the place. You want to say something?
Yes, sir. No, like our community, they were trying to investigate, and I can remember clearly that our president told everyone to mind their business and all of that.
Exactly. Exactly. So you get the point now. All right. So that's what sovereignty is. So sovereignty has to do with you, the state, having the power to make laws and to enforce them with all means of coercion. It cares to employ without any interference by other states. All right, so what are the principal features of sovereignty? Number one is indivisibility. What does it mean? Can you read that out to our hearing? Okay, sovereignty is supreme with coercive power, okay? Coercive power of the state over the people living within the state. It cannot be divided, although it can be delegated. Of course, it can be delegated. There's delegation of authority. Authority can be delegated, power can be delegated, right? But it cannot be divided. So the next one is absoluteness. There is no limitation to its legal powers. Sorry, this is not illegal. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I didn't quite edit this. There is no limitation to its legal powers. To its legal powers, not illegal. Sorry. Take note of that. Under absoluteness, can you see it? Under absoluteness, no limitation. I will need to edit this before I send it to the Google Classroom. I will need to make some corrections on this before I send it to the Google Classroom. So under absoluteness, there is no limitation to its legal powers within its area or jurisdiction. Okay? It receives no order from anyone. Permanence. The principal features of sovereignty. That's what we are considering now. Permanence. As long as the state exists, sovereignty continues without interruption. It is a permanent attribute of the state which does not change. As long as Nigeria remains Nigeria, it has sovereignty, okay? That's sovereignty over its geographical territorial boundaries. It has sovereignty over its territorial boundaries. All right, the next is independence of foreign control. Just like you mentioned earlier, you reminded us of what the president said one time, that everybody should mind their business, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, exactly. So the sovereignty connotes independence of foreign control. Not that the international community cannot interfere at some point. There are instances where the international community we have to interfere. Okay, but
yes, sir.
in as much as it doesn't get to that extent of human rights abuse, gross human rights abuse, and all of that.
But it got to that stage now. Like, why do we have the UN, the United Nations?
Okay.
They're supposed to, interfere because of the government of the country were brutalizing the citizens and killing the youth and all of that. I was thinking the United Nations should have interfered.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yes. There's what we call. There's an extent. There's an extent to which an international community can come in. Of course, the UNO is there. The African Union is there. Okay. At least before the United Nations can come in, the African Union must acknowledge that first, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
African Union must acknowledge that because before the UNO, we have the African Union. So, and if the African Union hasn't acknowledged that there has been gross misconduct or gross abuse of human rights, there has been gross abuse of human rights and all of that, there are limits, actually. There are limits. And of course, it has to be clearly seen, okay? Clearly seen. Of course, I know you are saying that. I know you are saying that it was all over the social media, right?
All over CNN.
Exactly.
All the
course,
big
yeah.
TV in the world,
exactly.
They were broadcasting it. So
of course, but there are, to some extent, there were doctorings in any way. You understand? Whatever happens on social media, you cannot really take social media as a 100%. You cannot really take your evidence from social media as 100% authentic. There are bound to be doctorings. There are bound to be, doctorings here and then, photoshopping, all of that, photoshops and all of that.
Yes.
Of course, you acknowledge that there were photoshops there, isn't it?
Yes.
While I also acknowledge the fact that, of course, there were some levels of course, brutality there, but we still have some elements of photoshops and all of that. So all of these things have to be taken into consideration, and the government has to come up with a statement. If the statement that the government is giving goes in line with what is seen as a standard 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 operation of means of operation, what would they have to do? They have to do, the international community have to stand down and just have to wait for proper means, as in much more human. Okay, we'll dig deep into that subsequent times. I'm just trying to rush over now. Sorry about that. I'm trying to rush over to round up. That's why it's as if I'm not giving you in-depth explanations on that. Okay.
Yes, sir. No problem.
All right. So the next one, you have comprehensiveness. The powers exercised by the government are wide and encompassing. It is the powers exercised by the government are wide and they are encompassing. It covers all the various aspects and it is binding on all within the geographical framework of the state. So what are the types of sovereignty? We have legal sovereignty, we have political or popular sovereignty, we have de facto sovereignty, we have the jure sovereignty, we have internal sovereignty, we have the external sovereignty. Okay, please just do well to just go through these materials, brief these materials, please. So, what are the locations of sovereignty in a state? Yes, please take note of this. It's very, very key. This location of sovereignty in a state. In a federal state, the location of sovereignty in a federal state is different from its location in a military state. And also, it's also different in a monarch, all right, in the monarchical system of government. So in a federal state, the constitution is a it recognizes and allocates the different powers and functions. Sorry, the constitution is supreme in a federal state and it recognizes and allocates the different powers and functions of the various tiers of government, the various tiers of government. There are jurisdiction, there are jurisdiction even within Nigeria. The federal government cannot step into the boundaries of a state without it being invited. Do you understand that? Yes. All right. So we have even within Nigeria we have federal jurisdiction, we have state jurisdiction, we also have the local government jurisdiction. All of these have powers over their regions and over their territorial boundaries as defined in the Constitution. And each of the various tiers of government respect those boundaries. I believe you must have heard of federal roads, state roads,
yes,
and all of that.
Yes,
exactly.
Sir.
That's what it quite applies. So it gives you a clear understanding of that. So we have, in a unitary state, sovereignty resides in the central government. The central government has the ultimate power. Okay, in a unitary state, the central government sovereignty rests on the central government. Then the electorate through election have the ultimate power to decide their representatives in government. The electorate through election. So we are the electorate. In as much as you are 18 years and above, we are the electorate and we have the power to decide our representatives in government. So sovereignty rests on us as well. Then in a monarch, the monarchical system of government, sovereignty can be traced to the queen or to the king. All right. While in a military system of government, in a military regime, oh, sorry, why did I put here centralized? Sorry, there's no centralized devil, please. Military regime is highly centralized, okay? That is not devil, please. That was a typographical error. I will do well to edit everything I have here before I put them into the Google Classroom. Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll move on to limitations to the. Okay, so please, okay, Okay, kindly just do well to go through what we have here. Okay, can we just attempt a few questions together? A few questions. I have a few questions here. I have a few questions here. Are you there? Hello? Okay. The question that we have, a right enjoyed by citizens but denied non-citizen is a right to, what is the correct answer there?
To vote and be voted for.
Okay, to vote and be voted for. Okay, yeah, that's very correct. That's very correct. That's very correct. Sorry, let me get back to you. Okay, to vote and be voted for. Okay, it is a right to vote and then be voted for. Okay, yes. And to also run for public office. So the next one is the type of party system in practice is defined by dash. By what? The type of party system in practice is defined by what? What defines the type of party system being practiced? Please
Number of
unmute.
political parties. Number of political parties.
Oh, okay, are you choosing A? Is that what?
Kind of, but going for A or C.
No, pick one. Just choose only one. Go with one.
Let me go for C. Manner in which the parties operate.
Okay, manners in which the parties operate. Okay. Okay, any other? Okay, I've already gone there already. All right. All right, the solution actually is party systems refer to the number of political parties in a country. Okay. The number of, that's what party system is all about. It tells us about the numbers of the political parties in a country. So the answer there is supposed to be what? A.
A.
Your first option.
Yes.
Please, I want every other person to unmute their mic. Please do well to unmute your mic. Tubosu, Philomena, unmute your mic and respond, please, if you are online. Okay, so the next question will be, an unwritten constitution is dash. An unwritten constitution is dash. What is like to be the answer there?
Partially written.
Partially written.
And based on convention.
Partially written and based on convention.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's true. That's correct. It is partially written and based on convention. That's very, very correct. Then what then is franchise? Franchise is the same as
suffrage. That's
suffrage. Yeah, very correct. Franchise is most commonly refers to suffrage, the civil right to vote. Suffrage, the civil right to vote. All right. The term collective responsibility means that
B. The members of the cabinet are collectively accountable for all decisions.
Okay. Any other option? Any other person talking?
Coming.
So are we all going for B? Are we all going for B? Gabriel, are you saying?
Going for A.
You're going for B too?
I'm going for A.
Okay, you're going for A. What about Okay, Isa is no more online. Okay. All right, so let's see what's the correct answer there. Collective responsibility is used in the parliamentary system of government. Okay. And what does it mean? It means that all members of the cabinet are collectively responsible and accountable for all decisions and actions taken by the cabinet. All right. So that means that our correct answer is what? B.
B.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So B is correct. Olatubosi, that's you, right? All right, so
Yes, yes.
the next one is an elected legislator in a presidential system can lose his seat by
Recall.
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 Okay, that's a very, very simple one, right? Yeah. All right. Okay. In the Nigerian constitution, the powers to create local governments lie with the
National Assembly.
National Assembly. Wow. Wow. So, what about Gabriel? Gabriel?
National, yeah.
Okay, National Assembly. Okay, that's quite correct. That's correct. That's correct. So please, you will see more of this. Our time is up already, but hopefully in our next class we will have more time to treat more questions. Okay, we will have more time to look at more questions. But on your own, on your own, please do well to attempt. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
on your own, do well to, if you don't have materials to work already, do well to get TestDrillers from the Google Play Store and practice as many questions as possible. They will really go a long way to help to boost your.
Sorry.
Okay.
The Google Classroom. I don't think I've been added to the Google Classroom.
Okay. A link.
So I don't.
A link will be sent across. A link will be sent across after now.
All right. Thank you. All right.
All right then. So that will be all for today. Do well to drop any reservation, any question whatsoever, any question and any area of concentration you would like us to pay attention to. Okay?
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. So good to have you all here. I will look forward to meeting you again in our next class.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Do have a nice day. Yes.
Bye, sir.
Yeah. Bye. Have a nice day.